professionals use video as a marketing tool. And when it comes to those calls to action that you could put into an email or a social media post, guess what? When you include that in a video, 380% more clicks. Let me say that again. 380% more clicks to your call to action. We can't ignore the value of video anymore. I mean, this I'm here doing my Make It Click video cast and then turning it into a podcast, into just audio. But we cannot stop ignoring the value of doing video. And today I have with me Elaine Williams on Make It Click. Elaine is a video and visibility coach. Elaine, thank you for being here today. Can we first start out with the purpose of video? What is the goal of video before it comes to those click throughs and all that stuff? What are some of the things that we're really looking to do with our video?
Well, thank you so much for the question, and thanks for having me, Christine. And I'm really honored and tickled to death to be here. And video is so powerful because it feels transparent in a way, and because of that power, it can be like But the whole point is people they get a sense of you. It's one thing to read copy from you or read your website, and then we look at pictures, and a lot of times pictures are from 2 or 3 or 5 years ago, right? We've all been on, if you've been on a dating app, you know what I'm talking about, 10 years ago, right? And so I feel like video is a better way for people to get a sense of you and your energy, right? So like I'm a high energy, I talk fast. Some people are like, she is too much for me. And that's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. When I first started doing live video, I was trying to be very poised and speak a little bit more slowly. And even though I could do that, I was like, it's not me. It's not, it didn't work. And so, yes, I can help people if you want to go do, a TED Talk or present for a corporation. I can absolutely coach you. I can do that. But my personality is more like, oh my God, because I like to have fun. Because, that's another thing, Christine, we're talking about today. So many times people are like, hi, I'm very excited to be here today. We're going to talk about, and it's like, calm down, Ethel, right? And, who was your favorite teacher? I bet you they had some levity around them, right? And, the studies say that if you can laugh, you are like 86% more likely to retain the information. And, let's just talk about laughter for a second. And I'm not saying you need to turn into a stand-up comedian, but if you could find ways to add a little fun, to become a shepherd of levity, there's so many cool things you can do. But when we laugh, Christine, we release endorphins in our brain. We release toxins. We take in more oxygen, which we all need to do because we're all a little emotionally constipated because of this dang pandemic, right? And then we also burn calories. So have you ever just laughed really, really hard and you just feel good?
You're right.
Mm-hmm. And so, and I think what happens is people go, oh, well, if I tell one bad joke, I could get fired or canceled or whatever. So there are ways to incorporate humor without worrying about offending people. And, there is a lot of political correctness right now, and words get crazy and triggering. But you can do, you could share a Snoopy cartoon. You can always say something that makes fun of yourself to put people at ease. You can share a Far Side. Like there's lots of things you can do to bring a little levity, a little lightness into conversations, or just starting with a smile, which might feel kind of weird. But think of that. This looks so much more inviting than. Is it on? I don't think anybody's there. I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, I don't think anybody's there. Hello? Like, Nobody needs to see that. Not even Naomi Campbell has gorgeous not, so.
Well, but is fun and laughter, is it appropriate for everyone in any situation? How do you know when you should bring it in and when you shouldn't?
That's a great question too, Christine. So, yes, not everybody is going to want to dance on TikTok or I love to crack jokes, but when I am in a training situation, I am I am buttoned up until I get the vibe of the room and the place. Even in comedy shows, every crowd is different. And so you always want to know what kind of water you're swimming in before you just walk in telling jokes, unless you're the star, right? So I do think humor is fabulous to use to help break the ice, and it's very situational in certain situations, right? Like training, like corporate, like a new client, a new contract, a new business. Absolutely. You can still be pleasant and smile, but you don't want to walk in the room telling, you know, some kind of risky joke, obviously. So it's like use it sparingly. But one of the things I work a lot with female entrepreneurs, like you do too, Christine,
Mhm.
and you're always so clear. I love everything you do because it's always just like clarity. You kind of cut through the BS, like no song and
I
dance.
hate to
No
waste
story.
time. It's
Yeah,
like, this is the
let's.
way it is.
Yeah,
Yep, let's
I
get
get
to
it.
it.
And so what I have found, and I teach what we need to know on a whole nother level, right? And so when I first moved to New York City, I was so intense. I was like, I gotta make up for lost time. And people were like, agents were like, you need to go try some comedy. Like, I was so intense. And what I have found is a lot of business women, speakers, entrepreneurs are like, I gotta fight for my seat at the table. And it's just because they're passionate, right? It's just because they're committed. And running a business, you help people with this every day. You wear lots of hats, right? So
Mhm.
I love teaching, I love performing. When I'm trying to find an email that I lost, when I'm trying to manage somebody who's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I'm like, right? We all have those places in our business where it's not our strength. And even if we've hired somebody, that doesn't always mean it's helping, right? And so if you can laugh at yourself, or if you can go, you know what, I am putting myself in timeout. I will go jump on my spin bike because it's hotter than what in Texas right now. So it's an outside walk is like you'd be taking a shower. But I will hop on my spin bike. I'll go do some yoga. I'll go on YouTube and watch America's Funniest Home Videos. And it's silly. It's always like some dad teaching his kid, and then he gets hit by the bat, like, or a pinata, and then somebody whips around and they knock somebody else out. Like, but it's funny because it's like our humanity. Like, as humans, we have so much potential, and yet we still do these stupid things, right? And so, whatever you think is funny, I encourage you start to watch 5 minutes of comedy a day. That could be like your lunch break. If you have a low energy time of the day, late afternoons, or it's my witching hour, that's when I want cookies and cocaine. And I don't do either. That's when I want them, right? And so, I will try to laugh. I'll try to move and get my energy going because I love what I do and I usually want to keep working, but I've had that energy. I'm usually dehydrated or whatever, but learning how you can help change your energy state. Because what is fun? It's usually like something that you really enjoy doing where you lose track of time. So, it might be you love sunflowers. It might be you going to pick up a new sunflower. For somebody else, it might be going to paint for a few minutes. For somebody else, it might be going to dance. For somebody else, it might be doing research on HTML, which would be torture for me. So, it's like, what's going to work for you that's going to give you that shift?
So this whole idea of lightening up, to get more clients, your big message is it's not just when you're doing a video, but in everything that you do. Is that correct?
Yes. And, as I am like a doer, I have these massive to-do lists. I'm like, take action, take action, take action. And so that's my default. But sometimes I forget, well, who am I being? Because part of being on video or speaking or having meetings is being your authentic self. So it's like you want to be authentic and credible, but also relatable and approachable. If you're too cool for school and you're too brilliant and too put together and too perfect, I know I can't relate to you. Like I love Marie Forleo. I think she is beautiful and polished and very successful. I have never resonated with her. She's just not my cup of tea. I respect her madly, but it's just I've never vibed with her because she's just sort of too perfect for me. I just, and that's fine. There's abundance, and
Mhm.
so it is, yes, you want to be putting out stuff, and obviously running your own business takes tremendous amounts of energy and doing and implementation and what I call the unsexy stuff. And one thing that can help you feel sexy or glamorous or whatever is, how could you add a little fun? You know, could you be serious about what you do, but maybe lighten up a little bit about yourself? So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now, coming back to videos, okay? So, would you recommend that before somebody gets on really any type of video, whether they're doing a social media post or they're getting onto a Zoom meeting with other people, that they take a few minutes beforehand to lighten up? Is that
Yes. Yes. And I know you may be like, I don't have time for that, but I have find when I can get myself moving, movement is very big to me. I will jump around. I will shake it off. Have you ever had a call that just did not go well? And then you're like, shake it off, move around. Think how dogs, when they get the water off of themselves, animals are so smart. Cats are always stretching, right? If we watch our pets, they know what's happening. So, yeah, I would say, especially if you've been sitting a lot, get up and move around. Make your desk a standing desk. You don't have to go buy a new fancy desk.
Mhm.
You can put a bunch of things and prop up your computer. Our bodies were not meant to be sitting for as long as most of us are sitting these days. So yeah, I think it's great to jump around, dance. One of my friends, she puts on music and she like dances around.
Good. Well, let's go a little bit more in detail about video because that
Okay.
is your expertise. Uh, so, when it comes to infusing fun and laughter, say in a social media video, are there different levels of fun? Should you like think about that beforehand of where do you really want it to go? I don't know. Is there a different level?
That's a that's a you and your questions. That's so good. That's so
I
good.
can't help
So
myself. The
so
mind
I
just
just
keeps going.
No, I love it. So I just want to be really clear. I have been a comedian for 12 years, really my whole life. I grew up performing, singing, dancing, musicals, movies, commercials. But a stand-up comedian, I have toured 3 countries and I have been a professional comedian for 12 years. And I still don't always know what's going to work. So so you may be like, well, then who the heck am I? But I'm not, but I'm just saying sometimes you try things. Every once in a while I will, I'm dancing and I'm really dancing and I'll think, oh, this is gonna hit it. And it's like not so much. So part of social media is you get to test. But the whole point is, if you are open to moving your body, maybe you do some Instagram reels and your point and you're gonna put some captions in. That is not really dancing. You could just be like do 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 do, or you could even make fun of like an old teacher. Like there's lots of different ways you can add it. And then if you have a lot of energy and it's on brand for you, there's nothing wrong with dancing, moving, walking, talking. The whole point is when people are doing something new that's out of their comfort zone, most human beings, at least in the people I've worked with, try to get it right. And ask
Mhm.
me how I know. I'm trying to get it right. So I'll tell you a quick story, Christine. So, I love to I know my points. I want to tell a story about one of my clients. I want to share an inspiration. I have things planned, and I'm also spontaneous. And then I was doing a launch, and my mentor coach at the time said, okay, we're going to do some Facebook ads. So we scripted it out. So I'm doing the Facebook ads. And I'm like, have you thought? And he goes, Elaine, you look like a PSA from the 70s. And PSA is public service announcement. Not a good thing. But I realized I was trying to do it right. And I had completely changed what makes me special and unique is my energy. I have this huge heart that gets me into trouble, but whatever, and I love on people. And I joke around with them. And then before they know it, they're shooting video and they didn't even realize it. That's part of my technique. But it was a great lesson for me because I feel like that's what happens is people either go, I'm just going to wing it. I'll just wing it, which is never a great idea. Even when I'm spontaneous, I have a plan. I may not always stick to it, but winging it is not. These days, you want to be short, pithy, compact. So people either wing it or they're like, okay, this is my fourth point. My fourth point is this. Okay. So, we've already lost people. 3 seconds, they're gone. So there's I call it the messy middle. So you don't want to wing it, but it's great to have some kind of a plan. But whatever you're doing, can you say it with a little smile? Because we're not teaching brain surgery or we're not trying to get somebody on the moon, right? And so just helping people learn to lighten up and breathe can really tremendously affect how you are perceived, and it will help people want to lean in and listen, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's very similar to when you're doing your 30-second commercial at a networking event and how many people stand up and just wonder, oh, this is who I am. This is what I do. It's like, I love to just throw out a question. Let's see some hands. I'm just all over the place. It's
pattern interrupt. I love it.
Yes. But very similar to that. And would you say about being prepared when you are doing videos? Yes, you have to have some ideas. Have note cards. Like I have note cards. Some ideas. But yeah, I've tried to wing things in the past, and I know it's a really bad idea. But also with this live video cast, it's showing Elaine Williams and her energy. It's not like, oh, wait a minute, we screwed up there. We got to redo this recording. Right. No, that's not right. That's the beauty of the live video casts on these social media platforms. I do believe, yes, you do some recorded ones, but again, don't be so critical.
Right.
It's okay to make errors. And that's when I see someone who of big stature, like in the industry and everything, that something isn't right for them. I'm like, oh, wow, I don't feel bad.
Right. And here's the thing, I was talking with my friend Gail Scott, who's a great image consultant. If anybody needs that, she's just lovely. And we were talking about how sometimes the reels just come. I'm in the creative zone and I'm like, but I'm just nailing it. And then I have other days where I'm like, blah, blah, and I start over and I start over. Here's the thing. Can you give yourself some space? Can you have a little compassion, which is why fun can lead to compassion, right? Because a lot of times what happens is, oh, I messed up again. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Well, that's not helping you physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. I love to watch people's bloopers, but that's one of the things when I'm working with people, I'll say, if you forget what you're going to say, stay in character and say line, or just stay like this. Or you can even look down and then come back. That's 20 times better than, oh God, I forgot. I'm so sorry. See the difference, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, those apologies are terrible. I equate that to, the neighbor's barking dog, and it's worse when the neighbor starts yelling at the dog than the dog barking. It's like, just stop. Just stop.
Right.
Yeah. I One last question on this whole subject. What do you say to somebody who says, "But my audience doesn't want humor. I can't do that. They don't want it. I have to be serious."
I would, if I felt like they were open to it, I might challenge them and say, well, what is your topic? And you know, probably it's because they're uncomfortable, because I believe that with the right context, anything is possible. And let me explain. I used to speak on the toughest subjects on college campuses: assault awareness, prevention and response, alcohol, drugs, and eating disorders, and sexual harassment. Like, it doesn't get any more intense, right? And like, what 18-year-old wants to go hear about any of that stuff? Nobody. So I was always pushing my credits, HBO, SNL, but I would say in the beginning, look, we're going to talk about some tough stuff, but I'm going to use humor to keep you awake. And I poke fun at myself. I would never poke fun of anybody else, but I do it because the information you're going to get might save your life or a friend's lives. And so my intention is that our time be super productive, so that you stay here in the room with me, so that you don't leave. Because a lot of times the minute you say assault, the oxygen gets sucked out of the room and people have left energetically. Their bodies are there, but they are like gone. And so I use humor to talk about tough subjects. Now, if I just walked out telling jokes, that would not be work. But because they set up the context, and it was like, are we cool? I'm going to be vulnerable. I would really set it up like it's a safe space, and I am not making fun of anybody except myself and my crazy family, So I made it okay. So again, and obviously I didn't roll out of bed with that. Like, that took 20 years of performing, really 50 years of performing. But, I think it really does depend on, are you willing to take a risk? And there's lots of tools you can learn to help you. If there's a saver line. If you ever try something that doesn't work, that's like that awkward, you were hoping for a laugh, and you can say, well, my cat thought that was hilarious. Or some of you will get that on the way home. A saver line just basically acknowledges, okay, I tried something. It didn't, nobody died. You didn't laugh. I'm okay. Let's move on. You don't have to be embarrassed for me. We're all okay. Nobody died. Let's move on. Like, it's just a great way to keep it moving and not have that awkward,
Wow.
when somebody tries to be funny and it fails. That's why people are so scared of it. But if you have some kind of line that's a saver line, it shows, okay, whatever, let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've so enjoyed this conversation, Elaine. It's helped for this time of the day, mid-afternoon, to lighten my energy. And yeah, no, this has been great. What if people want to learn more about you? Do you have something you'd like to offer them?
Well, thank you for asking. Yes. So I know what happens is we get so like, oh, I have to remember this and the lighting. And so I have a thing called Confidence on Camera Checklist at my website, captivatethecrowd.com. And I think Christina's, yep, thank you. So if you go to captivatethecrowd.com, and right there, you'll see, put your name and email, and you will get Confidence on Camera Checklist. And I encourage you to put this on your computer, print it out, put it on your desk. It's just a handy dandy little thing to help remind you. I'm just a huge fan of checklists. Our brains, we need help, right? To remind you of all the things that you want to have together, because the more attractive you feel with your camera angle, your lighting, you feel good about your color, the more likely you're going to be a better communicator. And your people are going to want to connect with you, and you're not going to be like, hi, I'm back here. We want you leaning in and engaging with us.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful, Elaine. Again, it's captivatethecrowd.com.
Oh, can I
And
say one more thing, Christine?
sure,
Sorry, I
sure, go
forgot.
ahead.
So if anybody here is listening, I'm doing Instagram Reels made easy tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So the best way is just if you go grab that checklist, I will put you on the list for the Instagram Reels made easy. And here's the thing. If you've been stuck by the tech, we're going to talk about the tech. If you've already done a couple, but you feel like you need some creativity, come do that. If you're on a different platform, you can still learn a lot because the short form video is hot, hot, hot. And wherever you are with it, you can learn. So come on, come all. It's going to be fun.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. I have to check my calendar if I'm available then or not. Thank you, Elaine, for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Oh, thanks for having me, Christine. This was fun.